Hey, it's a bit of a special recording of Glass of OJ. We haven't done the little funky intro, and I don't really have a glass of OJ at this time. Um, because I want to talk about something. It's National Coming Out Day, and it's also Cybersecurity Awareness Day, or, well, month. um, and I think it's good to spread all kinds of awareness in the cybersecurity community and InfoSec. And a little bit of history. So, National Coming Out Day is October 11th, today, and it commemorates the October 11th, 1987 National March on Washington. In fact, the second National March, where 500,000 marched for LGBTQ rights. At the time, it was really more geared towards lesbians and gays, but a lot of bisexual, trans, and queer folks obviously were in attendance of marching. Luckily, we now, about these days, recognize more of our siblings and cousins who've always supported us in the past, and we need to do a lot more recognizing and supporting them. Let's proceed, though. This was the second march of this kind, and its platform, the things they wanted to bring change to, were several. Legal recognition of gay and lesbian relationships, repeal of all laws that outlaw sexual relationships between consenting adults, aka sodomy laws. Which, by the way, a lot of sodomy laws also were against heterosexual sex, not just gay or lesbian sex. A presidential order banning discrimination by the federal government. Reproductive freedom, which we've now seen in great jeopardy of late, simply because it's been overturned completely. An end to racism in this country and apartheid in South Africa. That's right, back in 1987. Apartheid, blacks and whites were still separate completely in South Africa. Many of the platform's ideals did come to pass over the next 20 years. In fact, gay marriage was finally recognized in court, I believe in 2014, was it not? Huge momentum. And it was because of the momentum of that march all those years ago that the AIDS epidemic crisis began to get notice by those in power and in media attention. You can't really ignore 500,000 people who've got a message. And in just the USA, over 750,000 people have died due to AIDS since the 80s. It's actually closer to 80,000 because that number's from 2018. About 13,000 die each year. And about 300,000 of that 750,000 are people who died between 1987 and 1997. There were a lot of people who died before and quite a few who died after, obviously. But imagine that. 1997 and prior, most of the people who have died from AIDS died then. It's important to come out. And I think that's what marches like that did. It was people who came out. It was people who had a message. It was people who wanted change. Because when you speak up, that's when you build momentum for change. When more people speak up, it again shows momentum for change. When someone comes out as gay, trans, lesbian, non-binary, bi, asexual, or any number of identities, it means those who haven't come out see more people being proud, happy, and feeling safe to come out, which they in turn may also feel safe to come out. When we don't come out, when we don't celebrate our coming out as well, silence breeds fear, and only the folks who wish to see us dead get heard. And in fact, we've heard from a lot of those folks in just the last 2 years. And in fact, a ever increasing volume number of people who really want us dead. That's not an exaggeration. In Texas, they hunt down trans children and their families who support them, because some people think trans children are being abused rather than affirmed and celebrated for who they are, just like cis children are. They're hunted down. And that's not an exaggeration. In Indiana, joined some states who have banned girls from competing in school because of their gender assigned at birth. And as if to make slippery slopes look too flat, Florida, they took to checking all girls' genitals before they're allowed to play sports in schools. The argument was that the trans people are out to get you. They're out to recruit. They're out to groom. And trans kids are going to assault your cis kids. When really all it seems they want to do is assault all of your kids. Especially the girls, because it really was about girls. They don't do this for boys. They just do this for girls. When we don't come out, these efforts kill children who don't see any future for themselves in this world. And they choose to take their lives, especially because measures such as these promote and provoke violence against even children. My story of coming out as gay is also tied to coming out as an atheist. Since I was 10, I knew I liked men. I may not have identified as gay at the time or recognized my feelings as gay. I just knew I liked guys. Just like hetero boys usually discover around the same time that they like women. They don't think of it as being heterosexual. They just like who they like. But I also was a devout Christian. Yeah, even at 10. Devout Christian. And not just a normal Christian, but one who was dead set on a literal interpretation of the Bible, which said to me that this was not okay. This was an abomination in its words. I was an abomination. Those thoughts, those words became more manifest in my mind as I went in towards being a teenager. I didn't think of myself as an abomination at 10, but I knew that this was not okay, according to the Bible, especially from sermons, especially from Bible studies, and all sorts of things that parents would say to their kids or people would say at church. And this led to a lot of confusion, as I wanted to be straight so bad, especially getting into my teens. I wanted to be straight so bad so I could get rid of all these feelings. I wanted to please my family. I wanted to please my church, my God. I kept it a secret. And yeah, I do what most kids do. I watched porn as a kid. You might have even said I was addicted to it, because growing up, even as heterosexual, there was no sexual outlet until marriage in the church that I grew up in. And honestly, you didn't really get married usually until your early 20s. The situation became so bad in my early 20s that I believed I was a sex addict even. I went to groups specifically centered on getting out of addiction. I went to therapy on my own expense and volition. I never told my family until much later. I really believed I had something wrong with me. However, later, as I started to review my beliefs, I started to really dig down as to why I believed in a God, why I believed the scripture was real. I searched really, really hard for good reasons. I searched really, really hard into evidence and reasoning, even historical discoveries that prove the Bible is literally correct, and that the version of the Bible we have today is the original, as if we had discovered it somehow. But all that fell apart. And after lots of searching, I could no longer believe in my religion. I couldn't understand how I even came to believe what I did. But it became clear that all I had was what I was told as a child. I never came to Christianity out of reason. I never came to it out of seeking answers. I came to it out of indoctrination. I came to it out of fear. I came to it believing just what I was told. I came to believe I was an abomination the exact same way. I came to believe I was a sex addict the exact same way. And one day, I decided that if I had no good reason to believe in God, then I had no good reason to believe I'm an addict. And I had no good reason to believe I'm an abomination. That was about when I was 28, just a few years ago. For those of you who don't know my age. That was just a few years ago that I came out as gay, and that I also came out as an atheist. From that day, all pain and suffering that I attributed to my addiction was lifted. Maybe not all at once. Definitely over that next 6 months to a year, I felt a lot happier about my sexuality. I embraced it. I was fortunate enough to have a brother and friends in the InfoSec community who affirmed me and loved me, the whole me, for who I am. After that, I was able to finally bring my whole self to work. I was able to engage more authentically with people because I didn't have a laundry list of expectations I needed to fulfill or keep in check. I just had to be me. Something I never really got to do growing up. And although I kind of mourn a lost childhood in many ways, life has gotten better. It does get better. It got better for me, at least. And with more and more of us leaving toxic relationships, whether it's family, religions, work, friends, and embracing ourselves and those who show us real love for who we are, we all have a better chance to see things get better. It's important to tell our stories and to listen to them. When we work with each other on securing networks and data, we aren't just moving bits and bytes. We're moving human beings all around the world. We're interacting with their lives. And we need to understand the impact that it's going to have to people's whole selves. So, tell your story. It's a day to come out. We're all here to share love with you. We're all here to celebrate you. We're all here to support you. And I hope this is encouraged, inspired, or even helped you on this National Coming Out Day. Leave a comment if you want to come out, put your own video out there. But if you have a story you want to tell it in the comments. Find us on social media and give a comment. Show support to those who are coming out today. Give a lot of love, because it's also a reality in coming out that you do lose a lot. You lose relationships. Coming out as an atheist, I lost a community of people who in other ways did love me. And it certainly has split a lot of people out of my life who at one point I would describe as loving and would care for them. And now we have something we can't negotiate. So I'm not going to say it's all fun and all happiness when you come out. But you get to be yourself. And you get to find then people who love you for who you are and not who someone else wants you to be. So tell your story. Come out. We're here for you. I'll see you in the next one.